Welcome to Debate Combats, where sharp minds meet bold ideas without padding the gloves. Tonight's motion is simple to say, yet hard to settle. Local communities in Europe should launch bold arts and design campaigns to revive regional languages, even if that shifts funds away from other projects. Think posters on trams, murals on school walls, pop-up concerts in village squares, and smart visual branding that makes endangered languages feel alive again. The backdrop is real. Some regional tongues have grown quieter over decades, while new tech spreads dominant languages faster than ever. At the same time, culture makers say design can turn identity into something you see and hear on every street. To stir the pot, our teams split by generation, elders versus youth, with different instincts about heritage, priorities, and budgets. Elders carry the affirmative, arguing that communities should act now with creative campaigns because culture is a public good and time matters. Youth take the negative, claiming that other needs beat murals and billboards and that digital tools already bridge language gaps well enough. You know the stakes: pride, money, belonging, and the future shape of local life. Affirmative, the floor is yours to build the case.
Let me start with first principles. A language is not only words, it is a map of memory, values, and ways to think. When a map fades, people get lost, so putting language in the public eye through art and design is a civic duty, not a luxury. Cost is real, yet the price of silence is higher. Once a tongue slips from daily signs and songs, it rarely returns. Design works because it meets people where they live: bus stops, markets, schools, and sports grounds. A bold campaign signals respect, and respect invites use, which is how languages breathe again. We are not asking for endless spending, we ask for targeted, time-bound pushes that flip the social norm from embarrassment to pride.
I have watched communities repaint a single square with local words and watch confidence bloom in a week. Older residents suddenly greeted shopkeepers in the old tongue, and teenagers filmed it, which multiplied the effect. Public art gives permission to speak, and permission sparks practice, which is exactly what a language needs. Studies show that visibility matters. When signs, labels, and performances use the local tongue, usage rises because the barrier to entry drops. Even a small budget can seed volunteer energy. Choirs, street festivals, and school clubs grow around the visual cue. Call it cultural infrastructure. Design is the scaffolding that lets a fragile language stand in the wind.
Opponents will say translation apps solve access, yet an app cannot replace the feeling of hearing your grandmother's words on a town banner. We do not ban other projects, we simply prioritize a limited burst where it yields compounding returns to identity and cohesion.
If you want safety and trust in diverse places, start with a shared song and a shared sign, then watch cooperation climb.
Thank you. Affirmative, crisp, and passionate. Now let us hear the other side. Negative team, make your case against the motion.
Budgets are choices, and choices mean trade-offs. So I ask why art campaigns should come before mental health services, apprenticeships, or affordable broadband. Languages deserve respect, yet policy must pass the test of impact per dollar, and murals are a weak metric when the urgent needs scream louder. If the goal is inclusion, modern tools already translate menus, forms, and meetings in real time, at low cost. Real inclusion is using limited funds to help people find work, finish school, and access care, which are the foundations of civic life. Civic duty also means honesty about opportunity cost. A glossy campaign today might mean a closed youth center tomorrow. Pride is priceless, but the bill is not, and councils should avoid symbolism that outpaces services.
From the youth view, we live both online and offline, and the online part is where language spreads fastest. If you want revival, put energy into content creation grants, creator training, and better data for speech tech, not paint and posters. A teenager will not switch languages because a bus shelter looks nice. They switch when game servers, music platforms, and chat tools make the choice easy. There is also equity. Many communities mix languages, so choosing one for public art can exclude others and spark needless friction. Let us fund programs that lift skills and mental health, And let culture grow organically, where young people actually spend time.
In short, the motion romanticizes heritage while ignoring present pain, and good policy must begin with the pain.
Strong pushback from the negative. Numbers over nostalgia, apps over murals, and services over symbols. We will move next to challenges and cross-examination, but first, a breath and a reset for sharp questions to land clean. Affirmative. You have the pass to press your advantage and keep it tight and clear.
Your metrics miss the human dividend, because when a child sees her street speak her language, she is more likely to use it at school, in shops, and online, which multiplies trust and economic activity.
Negative. You have the pass to hold the line and answer the charge head-on.
Visibility without services is a glossy shell, so we defend by insisting that councils first fund tutors, counsellors, and job pipelines that give young people reasons to stay and thrive.
Negative still holds the mic for a fresh strike. Make it count.
If pride is the goal, give every youth a creator grant to make music, streams, and short films in any local tongue, because that beats a mural at moving daily behavior.
Affirmative. The ball returns to you for a clean defense.
You say services first, yet services stick when wrapped in identity, so the clinic sign, the apprenticeship poster, and the youth center banner in our tongue make those services feel like ours and not like charity.
Negative. Ready your next salvo and coordinate your duo.
I will lead this charge by asking why we should prioritize paint when rents rise, buses fail, and clinics close, since symbolism cannot substitute for functioning systems.
To back that, I add that design campaigns can privilege a single language group and chill others, which risks new fractures in mixed neighborhoods and weakens the social glue.
Even if the art is beautiful, institutions are judged by outcomes like graduation and employment, not by how poetic a shop sign looks at noon.
And if councils chase quick wins, they may ignore the long task of building cross-language digital tools where we actually live, which is on our phones.
Time. Negative. Thank you. Affirmative. Take the pass and counter with purpose.
Your critique confuses symbol with scaffold, because well-designed public language is the frame that helps programs climb higher and hold longer.
To extend that, fear of fracture should not paralyze public life, since inclusive campaigns can feature multiple regional tongues side by side, which teaches mutual respect, rather than zero-sum pride.
We proceed. Negative. Reset your stance and prepare a two-piece attack.
Here is the straight line. Councils must rank spending by measurable harm, and language loss, while sad, is not as immediate as hunger, housing insecurity, or clinic queues.
And here is the angle. When budgets force a choice, every billboard for heritage should be weighed against a night of heating assistance, or a week of sports coaching that keeps kids off the street.
That will do, affirmative. You have the pass for a twin strike. Keep it sharp.
I lead by pointing out that prevention is cheaper than repair, because a confident community needs fewer interventions later, which is why identity investment pays back in calmer streets and easier cooperation.
I support with evidence that communities which increased bilingual signage saw higher local participation in events and schools, which correlates with better outcomes for the very programs the other side claims to protect.
Enough. Affirmative. Negative has the pass again for a two-voice defense. Answer and then probe.
Answering first, correlation is not causation, and without tight study designs you are selling vibes as policy while other needs wait.
Now the probe. If design is such a wonder drug, why not fund it through private sponsorships and volunteer drives, rather than pulling money from clinics and training schemes?
Affirmative. Pass received. Deliver a two-voice defense. Answer and then expose a weakness.
For the answer, public space is a public good, so relying on sponsors skews the message toward brands, while a democratic budget signals that every resident owns this identity.
For the weakness, your plan trusts translation apps to fix belonging, yet those tools flatten nuance and humor, so they enable transactions but not the affection that makes neighbors show up when it matters.
Judges, I am calling for midpoint takes. Offer one sentence each on which way you lean, one strength of that side, one weakness of the other, and a word of motivation to both.
I lean affirmative for now because I hear a coherent theory of change, with cultural scaffolding as leverage, while the negative underplays how symbols can lock in services. And both teams should sharpen their evidence and keep the wit without losing respect.
I tilt negative because impact per dollar is still under-answered by the affirmative, while the negative shows fiscal clarity but risks sounding joyless, so both teams should blend art with spreadsheets and land a humane middle.
I am nearly even as I value dignity and bread together, with the affirmative shining on community pride and the negative strong on triage, so both teams should honor pain and hope as they aim for practical bridges.
Round 2 begins, fresh angles please, and the pass goes to the negative for the first cut.
New line of attack, design campaigns often centralize decisions, while grassroots microgrants for youth-led media deliver more authentic language use at a fraction of the cost.
Affirmative, your pass for a single voice defense.
Authenticity thrives when the town square signals welcome, so microgrants grow best in soil that public design prepares, which means we must water both the square and the seed.
Affirmative retains the mic for one clean strike.
Consider the Ripple. A single festival with multilingual visuals can recruit volunteers, attract sponsors, and inspire school projects that outlast the paint by years.
Negative, your pass for a one-voice defense.
Ripples are nice, but councils cannot budget on vibes, so show audited cases where art campaigns exceeded targets on literacy, job entry, or attendance, and then we can talk scale.
Affirmative, prepare a two-person push, leader and supporter in tight formation.
I lead with a practical model, a 3-month sprint that pairs bilingual street design with workshops in shops, clinics, and clubs, measured by attendance and language use logs, and funded by a modest reallocation.
I support by stressing low-cost assets like reusable banners, volunteer choirs, student design studios, and open-source typefaces that keep costs down, while the social signal stays bright.
Negative, time to answer with a two-person reply.
Answering first, even modest reallocations can close a program day, and in tight towns, one lost day means missed meals or missed diagnoses.
Adding to that, the sprint plan still burdens already stretched staff, which leads to burnout and hollowed-out delivery later in the year.
Affirmative, the pass returns for a two-voice defense, one direct answer and one provocative question.
Direct answer. Sprints can run off peak and integrate with existing calendars, reducing strain while making services more visible through shared branding and schedules.
Provocative question. If you fear burnout, why not back campaigns that recruit new volunteers through Pride, instead of telling the same tired crews to do more with less forever?
Negative, you close this phase with a two-person defense, one clear answer, and one precise weakness call-out.
Clear answer. Volunteer energy is precious but unreliable, so critical services should not hinge on musical moments or parade days that fade when exams or storms arrive.
Precise weakness. Your side still skates past equity in mixed neighborhoods, and without robust guardrails, the loudest heritage group can crowd out smaller tongues.
Affirmative, you have the pass for a focused strike by one seasoned voice.
Guardrails are a design job too, with quotas for sign space, rotating features, and community juries that ensure smaller tongues appear as often as the dominant one.
Negative, a single voice defense to that specification.
Guardrails add admin load and legal risk, so the safer route is neutral public space paired with targeted services, leaving culture to grow through personal choice and digital networks.
Affirmative, one voice attack to press the advantage.
Neutral space often means empty space, while gentle curation tells a community who belongs, and belonging is the cheapest crime prevention a council will ever buy.
Negative, one voice defense to that sweep.
Belonging also comes from fair chances and safe housing, and diverting funds to art risks, saying look at the banner while the ceiling leaks in the youth center.
Affirmative, two-person combo, leader and supporter, move with clarity.
Leader case. The motion asks for bold, not reckless, so we propose a capped share of cultural budget redirected within arts to favor language visibility rather than raiding clinics or shelters.
Support point. With sunset clauses and public dashboards, the town can stop the campaign if usage metrics stall, which respects taxpayers and keeps focus on outcomes.
Negative, your two-person combo counter is due.
Leader reply, capping inside arts still ignores the wider scarcity, because the true contest is not poster versus poster, it is poster versus nurse.
Support reply and dashboards are only as honest as the inputs, while cultural usage is hard to measure without intrusive tracking that people will rightly reject.
Affirmative, two-person defense, answer and then challenge.
Answer. We can use simple, non-intrusive counts like event attendance, library checkouts in the target language, and voluntary merchant tallies, which are standard civic tools.
Challenge. Your reliance on digital translation normalizes passivity, while our plan invites residents to be authors of public life, and authorship builds duty as well as pride.
Negative. Close with a two-person defense, answer, and a final weakness flag.
Answer. Authorship is beautiful, but beautiful does not keep the clinic open on Friday, so policy must stay boring and effective.
Weakness flag. The motion still elevates one strategy to the top, without a hard proof that it beats targeted scholarships, therapy access, or subsidized transport for working students.
We move to a rapid reply string, affirmative first, with one precise stroke.
We never said only strategy, we said should launch bold campaigns, which can run alongside tutoring and transit, if leaders have the nerve to cut vanity spend and protect essentials.
Negative. One precise return.
The problem is that bold sells faster than careful, so once the drums roll, the quiet programs lose headlines and then lose air.
Affirmative. A single voice to steady the frame.
Headlines fade, but shared songs endure, and a town that sings together finds it easier to vote for each other when the next hard budget arrives.
Negative. A single voice to guard the base.
Songs are lovely, but budgets are choices, and we choose the choices that save the most lives and futures first.
Affirmative. Rotate a fresh voice for a clean assertion.
Lives and futures are exactly why identity matters, because people who feel seen are more likely to show up, stay in school, and help a neighbor at dusk.
Negative. Answer with a crisp line.
If showing up is the metric, then pay the youth mentors and bus drivers before you pay the muralist, because showing up requires transport and trust adults, not typography.
Affirmative. Prepare a twin voice finishing push before we pivot to quickfire.
First push, we can contract local artists at fair but modest rates while channeling most funds to low-cost, high-reach visuals that amplify ongoing services.
Second push. By purchasing from local studios, we also support local jobs, which the other side should like, since jobs are their favorite metric.
Negative. Answer with a twin voice close for this segment.
Answer 1. Jobs in arts are seasonal and fragile, and building them on council campaigns risks boom and bust for small studios.
Answer 2. Better to seed skills that last, like coding clubs and paramedic training, which open doors beyond the next festival.
We approach the bell on round 2, and both teams will get a lightning reply. Affirmative first.
Lightning, a culture that says our words matter, will protect clinics and coding clubs with equal zeal, because it sees them as ours, not as favors.
Negative. Lightning back.
Lightning, zeal without math breaks fragile towns, so keep the heart and bring the ledger, or the lights go dark in winter.
Final micro exchanges before we brief the judges again. Affirmative to strike once.
One strike, our plan is a lever, not a luxury, and levers move the heavy things the budget alone cannot budge.
Negative to strike once.
One strike, your lever sits on the wrong fulcrum, because culture rises from security, not the other way around.
Affirmative has the last single note in this sequence.
Final note, security and culture braid together like rope, and towns pull harder when both strands are in the hand.
Before we close, are there angles left on the table, or final sparks you need to throw? Because the next minutes are open floor.
Yes, one angle is safety, because places that celebrate shared identity tend to see lower vandalism and more bystander help, which is a quiet but real return.
And one counter is triage, because celebration without shelter is a festival on a fault line, pretty until the first shake.
You frame this as either or, yet councils juggle dozens of lines, so bold cultural campaigns can be a smart slice, not a raid.
If the slice comes from arts, then be honest that other artists lose stage time, and that still fails the test of wider need.
We have proposed guardrails, caps, and sunsets, so the fear of runaway spending is a straw target you keep punching.
Caps do not change the picture that a ribbon cutting for a mural beats a quiet policy fix for youth anxiety, and leaders chase cameras like moths chase porch lights.
Cameras can serve the public if they spotlight the right norms, like welcoming signs that make shy speakers try one sentence in the old tongue at the bakery.
A sentence is good, but a diploma is better, so fund the tutoring that buys the diploma. Then people can purchase their own signs.
Tutoring works best when the hallway already says you belong, otherwise students feel like guests in a building with their name missing.
We keep hearing vibes as policy, while we bring ledgers and service maps, and that contrast should guide the vote.
It is not vibes, it is a social multiplier, and multipliers are real enough to budget for when money is thin.
We will believe the multiplier when it survives an audit, and until then we do not trade a single nurse for 1,000 posters.
No one is trading a nurse, we are trading dull leaflets for vivid public design that helps the nurse reach the patient with clarity and care.
If clarity is the goal, then design the forms and portals, not the walls, because the queue moves faster when the paperwork is clean.
We support clean forms and living walls, because both speak, one to the eye for function, the other to the heart for courage.
Courage does not schedule buses, stock clinics or heat flats, and that is where our case will stand.
Hold the edge without falling, keep it fierce but focused, and we will alternate freely now.
Picture a child who answers a roll call in her regional tongue and sees the same words on the gym banner, and tell me her odds of joining a club did not rise.
Picture the same child with a free bus pass to that club and a mentor to greet her, and tell me her odds did not rise more.
A city can do both if it stops funding stale vanity events and channels those funds into living identity work.
Vanity events are a separate sin, and your cure risks a new one by chasing brandable moments instead of unglamorous fixes.
You keep calling culture a brand, when in practice it is a commons that lets strangers act like neighbors in storms.
In storms, neighbors need generators, blankets, and clear alerts, not a fresh typeface on the town slogan.
Alerts in the local tongue can save minutes, and minutes can save lives, which is why visibility is not fluff.
Then write the alerts, test the alerts, and stop painting slogans on squares that do not drain when it rains.
You dislike paint, yet the cheap coat that signals inclusion can turn into cheap volunteer hours that make drains and clinics run better.
Volunteers cannot replace licensed staff, and mixing the two is a recipe for disappointment and risk.
No one said replace, we said recruit, hearts. And hearts, once recruited, vote to fund the licensed staff you keep defending.
We agree on funding staff, which is why we protect that line from cuts dressed as cultural urgency.
Then agree that small, time-bound campaigns can sit next to that line without harm and with shared gain.
Agree when the proof shows up, because policy is not a hope chest, it is a ledger with names and needs attached.
Names and needs are exactly why public words matter, because a name that shows up on a wall shows up at a ballot box.
A ballot box respects jobs, rent, and care more than murals, which is why we push dollars to the things people cannot crowdsource.
Communities can crowdsource pride and amplify public service, so long as leaders give them the stage and a script that honors their speech.
We will not crowdsource the safety net, and we will not let a stage replace a salary.
We ask for neither, we ask for a chorus that makes the net stronger, because people hold it tighter when they sing together.
We hear the song, we choose the scaffold, and the scaffold we pick is clinics, coaches, and coders.
Enough. Before we ignite the comment section, we will channel the heat into final speeches, and we start with the affirmative for closing arguments.
For the record of facts, language loss tracks with disengagement, while visibility tracks with participation, and participation supports services through votes, volunteers, and honest feedback loops.
To the judges, think leverage. Because a modest campaign in signs, festivals, and shared visuals can lift many programs at once by lowering the social cost of using the local tongue in public.
We showed guardrails, caps, sunsets, and metrics, like event counts, library checkouts, and opt-in merchant tallies, which are normal civic tools that do not intrude.
We answered equity with inclusive design, rotating features, and community juries, and answered cost with reuse and student studios, so the spend is lean while the signal is strong.
We rejected false trade-offs because the slice comes from stale cultural spend and bland communications budgets, not from clinics and shelters.
We grounded hope in practice, because when people feel seen, they try, they show up, and they stay, which is the foundation of healthy towns.
Therefore, the motion stands as prudent and humane, a small lever with wide reach.
Therefore, the vote for yes is a vote for dignity that pays back in calm, trust, and shared work.
Thank you, affirmative. And now the negative for your final word.
For the record of facts, budgets are finite, needs are stacked, and every reallocation, no matter how poetic, lands on a line item where a person waits.
To the judges, think certainty, because clinics, mentors, buses, and broadband show consistent, measurable returns, while festival effects are often short, selective, and hard to audit.
We expose the risk of centralizing culture through councils, which can favor loud groups and freeze out smaller tongues, even with good intentions.
We show that digital tools already connect people across languages for forms and meetings, while the deeper work is skills, health, and stable housing.
We asked for proof and guardrails that survive strain, and we remain unconvinced that murals and banners should jump the queue.
Therefore, the motion should fall, not because culture lacks value, but because rescue lines must hold before we paint the boat.
Judges, you have heard full hearts and full notebooks, and I ask for your evaluations now, with praise where it is due and a clear verdict each.
I vote affirmative because the plan shows leverage with modest spend in concrete guardrails, and the side effect on belonging, while hard to score, aligns with durable civic gains.
I vote negative because impact per dollar is the sharpest instrument here, and the evidence for superior returns via design campaigns remains thin compared to services.
I vote affirmative because dignity as policy is not a luxury when the budget is small. It is glue, and the affirmative offered ways to keep that glue cheap and fair.
By 2-1, the affirmative takes the win. Elders for the motion, and we congratulate them for a narrow, thoughtful victory.
Thank you for the vote and for the pushback, because a community proves itself not by agreement, but by the care it brings to disagreement.
We accept this with humility, and we invite every town to test small, learn fast, and keep the door open to every voice.
We salute the winners, and we still insist that the safety net must be tied before banners fly, which means we will show up at the budget meeting tomorrow.
Good debate keeps the lights on, and we will keep pressing for the quiet fixes that rarely trend but always matter.
To both teams and our judges, thank you for the fire and the fairness, because steel sharpens steel and civic sharpens character. To everyone who stayed to the final bell, we are grateful for your time, your focus, and your open mind. If you enjoyed the clash, please tap like, subscribe, and tell us where the teams hit or missed in the comments. If you want to back the channel, scan the QR in the corner or use the link in the description to donate and keep these debates ad-free. Also in the description, we have links to other series that take a very different path, and we think you will find those journeys worth your clicks. This has been Debate Combats. Thank you for listening, travel well, and join us next time for another hard question faced with bright mind.